ॐ त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तिसुदेशिकेन्द्रं द्वैपायनं सूत्रकृतं मुनीन्द्रं श्रीशङ्करं भाष्यकृतं यतीन्द्रं मद्देशिकञ्चापि नमामि विद्यै। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या संप्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहित प्रज्ञानगणः प्रत्यगर्तो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ओम पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीं। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्स सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। भीष्मद्रोण तथा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला। अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णः खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः। पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थघण्टोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं। लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ओम कृष्णाय परमात्मने नमः। Pranams everyone. We are looking into the values that Bhagavan has given in the we are looking into the values that Bhagavan has given in the chapter 13. So in chapter 13, between slokas 8 to 12, Bhagavan has given a list of values which he says as fundamental that one requires to have, a spiritual sadhaka needs to have to be able to get this jnana. And so far we had seen sloka number 8 completely. Out of there were 9 values that were given: amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, shanti, arjavam, acharya upasanam, shaucham, stairyam, atma vinigraha. We had seen so far those 9 in sloka number 8. Then sloka number 9 we had seen 3. We'll chant the sloka first. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Indriyarteshu vairagyam anahankara yevacha janma mrityujara vyadi dukkha doshanu darshanam. So Bhagavan is giving few more values here. First one we discussed was Indriyarteshu vairagyam. We talked about vairagyam as dispassion, and we saw vairagyam Vairagyam is basically the ability to say, not get addicted to pleasure or enjoyment. So we have to understand this carefully. It is not about running away from enjoyment, but not getting addicted to it. It is not about having an aversion towards all these things, but it is to be able to manage, not to get enslaved by those pleasurable or enjoyable things. So we discussed there, we saw how only a Viveka Janita Vairagyam will last long. Any other Vairagyam that comes temporarily will also leave us immediately. It comes out of a temporary situation or a certain situation. If it is not supported by Viveka, if it is not supported by the discriminative mind, then that Vairagya will not last. And then we saw the main thing is Vairagyam. We will have to follow this. We will have to do sadhakam, and for that, basically, we have to ensure that we constantly reflect of what is permanent, what is impermanent, so that we don't get addicted to these impermanent things. And also, we slowly do some tapas. By doing some tapas, we are able to get out of this addiction. Third thing is, of course, following dharma, not getting avaricious, not consuming anything avariciously. So that is Vairagyam. Then we saw Anahankara. Anahankara, we saw that there were two meanings. Basically, one meaning is not having the pride, not having that garva, or being with humility. But here it is also the second meaning which is given prominence. The second meaning is Anahankara means not having this feeling that I am the body, and reducing the abhimana on that body. And we saw how to do that. Again, the Vairagya comes to the help. Vairagya on whatever we experience, especially the comfort that we give to the body, we have to have Vairagya on that. And then we saw also tapas, slowly be able to reduce the ahankara that we have on our body. Then the third one within this sloka that we discussed last week was Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Dosha Anudarshana. Basically, seeing the faults in this life, whatever we go through as life. We have birth, then we grow old, and once we grow old, or even these days, even earlier, we get disease. The body gets diseases, the body gets problems, issues, the body has issues. Then finally it ends in death. So seeing the fault of this particular cycle, Anudarshana, he says, repeatedly seeing this, again and again, seeing this again and again. And why do we need to do that? To come out of the delusion, that I am going to be always there. I am Sashvata. I am going to be always there. That delusion we will have to come out of. And that the delusion that only the pleasure is going to give me happiness. So for that, we will have to have this Dukkha Dosha Anudarshanam. Everything, right from birth, old age, disease, death, everything is mixed with dukkham. Everything is mixed with sorrow. So we need to come out of that. So that is the third one. So we had seen this so far. With that, the 9th shloka is done. Now we go to the 10th shloka. Asaktirana bishvangaha putradara grihadishu nityam cha samachittatvam ishtanishtopapatishu. Asaktirana bishvangaha Putradara grihadishu nityam cha samachittattvam ishtanishtopapatishu. So this is the value number 10. Value number 13. Bhagavan is given. 9 plus 3, 12 is over. Now 13th value. Asaktihi. 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 It comes out of the Asaktihi comes out of or there is a term called mamata. Mamata means not that motherliness. Mamata means they belong to me. There is a feeling that we have on a lot of things in this world, that we feel they belong to me, as in I am the owner, I own them, they belong to me. So that gives rise to what is known as Saktihi. Saktihi means attachment. That attachment comes out of the feeling that they belong to me, I own them. So Asaktihi means coming out of that attachment, or basically to have a detached attitude. And this detached attitude, it is not easy to have it. It is not easy to have complete detachment on everything in this world, on everyone in this world. It is not easy at all. So if we are thinking that by listening to one class we are going to have this, from tomorrow we are going to be detached, that is not how it works. It comes very slow. The detachment process is a slow process, and it can even take some lives. But whatever steps we have to take, we have to ensure that we follow the sadhana. We should slowly release this attachment, and this attachment comes out of this they belong to me, I am the owner kind of feeling, which is basically that possessiveness that we have. The possessiveness that we have to slowly reduce. And this is it's an attitude we have developed, or we have created. We have this possessiveness on certain things. We don't have possessiveness on certain other things. I'll give you an example. For example, suppose somebody gives us a car for us they are actually going overseas, or they are leaving the car with us, and they say, you maintain it for a few months and then use it, and then when we come after 6 months we will collect the car. So you maintain the car, you keep the car. If you want to drive, you drive. You don't take, you just keep it. Then suppose on the 5th month, suppose there is the owner sends you a letter and says, look, or a mail, and he says, look, you keep the car, it's for you, it doesn't matter, I'm not going to come back, it doesn't matter, you don't need to pay, you can keep the car. For that matter, car or anything for that matter. Immediately what happens, our attitude towards it changes. Immediately we start cleaning that, we start maintaining that, we ensure that nothing happens to the car, we polish it, we do a good service, we send it for service and everything. It is the same car that we were driving during those 5 months, and the same car that we were now driving as well. But immediately the attitude changes, because we immediately start feeling that possessiveness, that this car belongs to me, I am the owner of this car. There is another example that I keep quoting, right? I mean, that a person goes, he stays in a town, he goes out of town, and then when he comes back, in the street where he lives, there's a huge crowd. And then he comes to understand that his house is on fire. So immediately he panics. And then he tries to rush back. But then he sees his father and his brothers are all outside. They are looking at the fire as if nothing has happened, as if they are not actually affected by it at all. And then when he actually inquires what happened, they say, oh, this house, we just sold it last week. It does not belong to us. So immediately the agitation turns into a relief. So there is no more sorrow, there is no more agitation, there is no more anxiety. It gets relief. Then suddenly another person comes in and then he says, look, the transaction did not go through. The buyer has rejected it and the house is back in your name. Suppose if that happens, then immediately their attitude changes. It turns into sorrow again. It turns into anxiety again. The house is the same. The fire is the same. The incident hasn't changed at all. The situation is still the same. Just the attitude has changed only because of whether it belongs to me or not. That possessiveness that I have changes the attitude. And this is what happened in Bhagavad Gita also. Arjuna basically says, I am not ready to kill the people from the Kaurava side because I have a feeling that they are mine. They belong to me. So I don't want to kill them. So our attitude immediately changes whenever the feeling of mine is involved. It is the same case when we have kids. When our kids make mistake, we will try to justify all kids make mistake. But when a neighbor's kid makes a mistake, we'll say the neighbor's kids are like that. They are very bad. And we try to justify if the feeling of me or mine is involved, immediately we try to justify things. If someone dies, it is an event. It is an incident. But if that person is related to me, if it is part of mine, then it becomes sorrow. So death by itself is not the cause of sorrow. Just that the feeling of me or mine linked to it becomes the cause of sorrow. And that is what is called as mamata. So we have to do the corollary. So when does my mind get affected? Or where is the feeling of me or mine involved? Whenever my mind gets affected by things around me, wherever my mind gets agitated, then you can be certain that there is a sense of ownership. There is a sense of me or mine involved in it. Immediately my mind gets into anxiety, my mind goes into sorrow, anger, all those feelings come in the moment me or mine is involved. So Bhagavan says, develop asaktihi, develop a detachment, develop an attitude that do not take that to be yours. Do not be possessive. So how can I not be possessive? What should be the attitude then I should develop on these things? If they are not mine, then whom do they belong to? Bhagavan says, you are the trustee. You are not the owner. You take that you are the trustee. You have been given this by Ishvara, by me, by Ishvara, because of the karma that you have done. And that should be in our mind. So I am a trustee. So this wealth, whatever Bhagavan has given, he has given me. I am the trustee of this. And I have to use this for me in this life properly. It does not belong to me. It belongs to Bhagavan. I have to use them. The children have been given to me by Bhagavan. I have been given a responsibility as a trustee to take care of them in this life. This house has been given to me by Bhagavan. This body, we have to even include our body. This body has been given to me by Bhagavan, by Ishvara. I am the trustee of this body. So which means I have to ensure I take care of this body I have to ensure I have to take care of my kids. I have to ensure that I have to take care of my wealth. I should not let it go just because it is someone else. I am the trustee. Something that has been given in trust is, so I have to ensure that I keep up the trust, take care of things, and at the end of my life, it goes back to Bhagavan again. I will not be there to take care of my kids until they are there. I will not be able to take care of this house until the house is demolished. I will not be able to take care or claim ownership of this house or of the kids or the wealth even after my death. They have been given for a temporary period. I have to understand that. I have to ensure that I understand that I am the trustee. After some time, the house or the wealth or even the children are going to be somebody else. So we have to realize that. So Bhagavan says, develop an attitude of asaktihi. So what is the problem of this attachment? What if I have attachment? What is wrong in it? First of all, wherever there is attachment, wherever there is possessiveness, we give a lot of pain to the other person also, because we want to own that person, we want to control the person, and everybody wants freedom. And if that person feels after some time a kind of a restriction, if the person is actually pushed into a corner, then that actually starts developing into a hatred. So possessiveness is never good. It gives a lot of pain to the other person. Not only does the other person have some pain, our freedom will also go. Because without our knowledge, our mind will be preoccupied with the object of possession. Whatever we are so addicted to, or we are so possessive about, or we are so attached to, and that attachment could be either attachment as in deep attachment or even hatred, the raga or dvesha, anything it could be. The mind gets preoccupied, and when the mind gets preoccupied, our freedom will also go. We are only as free as we let the other person to be. So our freedom will also go. The third problem that we will face, we will not follow dharma on the person on whom we are possessive about. We will, suppose we are very possessive, or we are so attached to somebody. If it is our kid, if the kid makes a mistake, for any other person, we will claim that person, we should follow by the rules. That person should be punished for any fault of theirs. But the moment we come to know that it is our own, then we will claim leniency, we will ask for leniency, we will say it is a mistake, everybody does mistake. We will not be following dharma. And that is what happened in Bhagavad Gita here, when Arjuna also, the moment he knew that he had to fight Bhishma and Drona, he started having this feeling of attachment, and he wanted to not fight the war. He didn't want to actually follow dharma. So we will not be following arjavam. Arjavam is what? The straightforwardness. We will lose that. Finally, wherever there is possessiveness, there will be stress. There will always be stress. Whomever we are attached to. We don't know what they are doing now. We don't know how they are talking, with whom they are talking, whether they are safe, whether they are not safe. Any kind of relation where there is possessiveness, there will be stress. As Swamiji says, initially there will be a lot of attention. When there is possessiveness, there will be attention involved. And people who suppose I am possessive about someone, the other person is actually, initially that person will start feeling that attention from me, and they will feel good. Initially that attention will give them good, will make them feel good, but too much of attention will lead to tension. It will create stress. So possessiveness is never good. It can lead even into enmity. So asaktihi, Bhagavan says, follow detachment. Do not get attached to, do not feel, don't feel, have this feeling that I am the owner. Don't have this feeling that this belongs to me. Have a feeling that you are the trustee. And how can we actually develop this? As I said, how can we remove this possessiveness? If we already have possessive about certain things, how can we remove that? First of all, understand that these are all temporary relations. And this feeling that it has all come out of temporary relations, it has to come out of a thought process. We have to understand that even kids, our kids are temporary relations, only for some time. We have been given a duty, we have been given a responsibility, we are doing it. And that is to be extended everywhere. So friends, spouse, kids, even guru-shishya relationship, temporary relationship. There's no need to feel attached or addicted. So that is one. Second, we have to understand separation is natural. We should accept separation, and we should accept it happily. It's not easy, but it is necessary. Generally, it's more the humans who are very possessive, and they want to keep their kids at home. They want to actually overprotect their kids. Even animals are not over possessive or overprotective about their kids. They just, after some years, they send the kids out. They let them manage their own lives. It is only in humans that even at the age of 50 or even at the age of 80, the parent is still possessive and controls the kids who are 50. So this happens only with humans. So we have to understand that separation is natural, that all these are temporary relations. Then the third, as I said, we have to understand God is the owner. I am just a trustee. I am not the owner of anything in this world. Whatever has been given to me, it has been given to me, or I have got it through my karma. And these are only available for a temporary period until the object is there, because everything goes to a destruction, or until I am there. And that includes my body also. I am not the owner of this body. Bhagavan has given me. That's why we say we should not harm this body. That's why we say also suicide is wrong, or self-harm is wrong as well, because this body has also been given by Bhagavan to us. We have to maintain it. That is the third attitude that we have to have. Fourth one, we have to develop the attitude of aparigraha. Aparigraha means, not having more than what is needed. It is one of these yama and niyamas of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. Aparigraha means not having more than what is needed. Have simple needs. Do not keep extending our needs. The more we think we need in our life, the more attachment and addiction and possessiveness that we are going to build. In fact, there shouldn't be a need for anything. We are, whatever is given, whatever is there, we have to be happy with. Some people have this attitude, even after many years, they will call somebody and say, do you still remember me? I am so and so, calling an old friend, trying to create new relationships. it is not needed. We need not create any new relations. We can be happy with whatever we have. In fact, Shastra says, who is a rich man? When Shastras is asked to define who is rich, a rich man is who is able to live with minimum needs. If your needs are minimum, you are already rich. If your needs are more than what you earn or if your needs are more than what you have, then you are poor man. So Shastra says one who has got minimum needs is a rich man. Have this feeling. Some people say that if I don't have this feeling that this belongs to me, this is mine, I will have no security. My security is in the wealth that I have, in the possession that I have, in the house that I have. My kids are my security. There is this feeling as well, which Shastras would clearly explain. We would have explained in the introduction to Vedanta also, in the first few chapters itself, when we discussed about the shortcomings of Artha Kama. We had discussed about DAB, Dukkha Mishra Tattvam, Atriptikaratvam, Bandhakratvam. So we think that these are going to give me the security, the house, the wealth, the kids and all those things. Shastra says that is not true. They can never give you security. If they can give you security, let us reflect ourselves, reflect on what we had maybe 20 years ago and what we thought would give us security 20 years ago. I'm sure most of us would have had that in the last 10 years ago. But we still don't feel secure about the future. Because insecurity is inbuilt. We are never secure about things. Bhagavan or Ishvara is the only security. We have to understand that. And if we are able to have our trust in Ishvara, then we can easily remove possessiveness on others, the addiction or the attachment to things and people. So that is another way to develop this attitude of asaktihi, to firmly believe and firmly get convinced that Ishvara is the only security. So that was asaktihi. Then the next one is 14. Anabhishvangaha. Anabhishvangaha. Anabhishvanga means this self-identification. We say ahanta. We say ahanta is Anabhishvanga. Basically, the self-identification, and Bhagavan gives a qualification for this. Anabhishvangaha putra dhara griha dishu. Basically, he says this self-identification, that ahanta. Earlier we talked about mamata. Now we are talking, Bhagavan is talking about ahanta. Saying that with putra dhara griha dishu. Putra means son or daughter. Dhara means spouse, wife or husband. Griha means house, but you can also include all the possessions. And here Bhagavan says that we have developed this self-identification, that me and these people are not the same. So without our knowledge, we identify these people as ourselves. This is also wrong. Bhagavan says, develop this anabhishvangaha, remove this feeling of ahanta on your children, from your spouse, from the house or possessions that you have. It doesn't mean that we should not show love or care to these people. We should be showing love, we should have care, but at the same time we should have this emotional maturity. In fact, a family setup is to develop that emotional maturity. The family, it is as much for individual growth. When I say individual growth, it means mental maturity. the mental maturity to come out of this feeling of attachment. A family should not enslave us, and that is what Bhagavan is warning us. Do not get the family. Some people believe that the family is the only thing. If family is my life, anything happens to my son, it's as good as it is happening to me. That the feeling is, sometimes what happens when your child gets hurt, the tears come from our eyes. So the pain is there, the sorrow is here. Or we say, I feel the pain. That means what? We have extended ourselves from our body to that body also. And Bhagavan is warning us, do not have that. Family is for emotional growth. Family is for personal growth. Family is for spiritual growth. It is not for us to get drowned in it. Again, do not get it wrong. It is not about developing an aversion or running away from family. Family is a necessary setup that is needed for us to grow spiritually. We have to have that roles and responsibilities. We have to show love and care. We have to do our duty. Family is a necessary setup for us to first understand that as an individual, we are supposed to share with others. So first we share things with family. Then we slowly extend that sharing. We go from the family, we start sharing with the society also. So a family is a necessary setup for us to learn things about like sharing and others. But it is not about getting drowned in it. So when the attachment reaches at a zenith, at its height, we will see the family members as ourselves. We extend the I from not just our body but into their bodies as well. So whatever sorrow they befall, we feel that sorrow. It becomes our sorrow. If the kid is actually struggling, then we feel it. If he is in pain, then I feel it. What happens by that? We lose our freedom. And that is not correct. Shastra says, remove the identification from your body. Don't consider even your body as yourself. But what we are doing, instead of not considering our body as ourselves, we are going to the other side. We are saying not only my body, but that body also is me. So we have to remove this identification. And what happens if we identify too much with anyone? First and foremost, we will not be able to accept death. Acceptance of death is a very important attitude that one needs to develop. Because otherwise death is an incident or as a situation or a happening can make a lot of people go depressed, and that is not correct. That is not the way, because death is inevitable anyway. Nobody can escape that. So acceptance of death is very important, because everybody has to die one day. It is not we feel sorrow about somebody else's death. One day somebody else is going to feel sorrow about our death, because not that we are going to remain. One day we will also have to die. That we have to remember. Second, sometimes we have this level of attachment on others, but the other person may not have the attachment on us. Generally we see, if we closely analyze, the attachment that the parents have on their kids is much higher than the attachment that the kids have on their parents. So what happens? So as a parent, I have attachment. My parents have more attached to me than me getting attached to them. Whereas I am more attached to my son than he being attached to me. And he will in turn get more attached to his son rather than being attached to me. So this is what happens. Nobody has the same level of attachment. And the level of sorrow is directly proportional to the level of attachment. The more attached I am, the more that person or that object or that possession or that situation, whatever, wherever that attachment is, that is going to give me sorrow. I am giving them the license to make me sad. Wherever I have that attachment, I am giving them the license. I am giving them the freedom for them to make me sad. And what happened? The third problem is we will lose objectivity. Wherever there is attachment, we will lose objectivity. We will not be in our proper self. That's why you've seen many places where some of the doctors would not operate upon their own family members. They would ask somebody else to do it because they know that they will lose their objectivity when doing it. That attachment will make us lose objectivity. Fourth point, we give stress to others. Same thing, just like mamata. So wherever there is attachment, we stress them. Being balanced is difficult, as in having a neutral stance. It is easy for us because the mind is so used to either like something or dislike something, either get attached to something or develop hatred to something. And that is been evident, and today a lot of kids also, they say, I hate this, I hate that, I love it. So it's only we always talk in binary. Either I hate it or I like it. And Shastra says, do not even use the word hate. You can always say, I do not like it. But hate should never be an attitude. Hatred as an attitude should never come into us. Adveshta sarva bhutanam. Bhagavan says, as one of the first value for a jnani is adveshta. No hatred on anything. Sarva bhutanam. On any object, any living being. So we should try not to use this word hate or develop this attitude called hate. You can always say, I don't like that much. That is fine. So we always talk about binary. Either I love it or I hate it. So Bhagavan says what we should be doing is basically have a develop of equanimity. Develop a neutral position. Wherever possible, develop a neutral position. Do not have over attachment. Do not have strong hatred. They say familiarity breeds contempt. Familiarity can breed contempt, or familiarity can breed attachment also. So we have to develop that. Of course, again, these values, Bhagavan is saying it's not easy. Whatever Bhagavan is saying, Ishvara is asking us to do a lot of things, difficult things, but it has to be done, and it has to be done over a period of time. It is not something that we can develop overnight. We will have to write it down. We will have to list out where are the things or who are the people with whom I have attachment, or for that matter, deep hatred. Both are the same. And how can I actually reduce them so that I am able to be balanced? So question is, how can we be balanced? What do I need to reflect? What do I need to think back again and again to make sure that I can remain balanced? One way is, first of all, understand all relations that we see or we are exposed to are all based out of karma. Only karma brings people together. We are not meeting anybody in this life out of a chance. There is nothing called a chance, coincidence, luck in our Shastras. Everything comes out of karma. They are all based out of punya or papa. People come together, and until that karma gets exhausted, they stay together and then leave. This is the fact, this is the truth. And that is true with either. It is true with friends, it is true with relatives, it is true with spouse, it is true with neighbors, it is even true with guru and shishya. It comes out of karma. Once the karma comes exhausted, it go back. So we have to remind ourselves, keep reminding ourselves that these relations that have been given to me are for only one purpose. The primary purpose is for spiritual maturity. Not for me to get some pleasure out of this relationship, not for me to get some enjoyment out of this relationship. I am attached to this person because that attachment, I think, will bring me happiness. Not that I want to be attached, but I feel that I will be happy if I am attached to that person. That is the reason why we are getting attached. So remove this feeling. Understand that every relationship is out of karma. Brothers, sisters, spouse, neighbors, friends, even office. Everything comes out of karma. Second thing, this feeling of I am the owner, or for example, I am in that body as well. It is as good as me. That feeling, to remove that feeling, first of all, understand we don't create life. We are just instruments. Our body is an instrument through which we create life. We don't know how to put prana shakti within that body. We don't know how to actually develop that body. We don't know how even the child grows in the womb. We have not designed it. We have not developed it. We are just instruments. Understand that we are not creators. God or Ishvara is the creator. We are just instrument in his hands. And when whoever comes as our kids, they come with their own samskaras. Every child or every individual comes with their own samskaras. It is not that we have given them from our kind of upbringing. They have their own samskaras as well. So we should be careful. So that is another way to remind ourselves to have a balanced life or have a balanced outlook on people. The third way is give people some space and be away from them for some time. Whenever we think that we are getting very attached to some person, give them the space. Stay away so that we can balance our life. Otherwise, too much of attachment will lead us into trouble, sorrow. See, as kids, when the kids are dependent on the parents are happy. That is okay. But as they grow older, the kids should start deciding on their own. The parents should not be unhappy that my kids are not actually listening to me. They should let the kids have their own space, make them take decisions. So this is the common mistake that we make. So we think that we are still the parent and we have a right on their decisions, even at the age of 80 when the kid is 50. So that should go away. So this is the next one. The next one, this is 14 we had seen, asakti. Then we saw anabhishwangaha from putradhara grihadishu. The next one is nityam cha samachittatvam. Nityam cha samachittatvam ishta nishtopapattishu. Ishta anishta upapattishu. So this is a single value. Nityam cha samachittatvam ishta anishta upapattishu. Nitya means always. Always. Samachittatvam means be equanimous. So be equanimous in when. Bhagavan says, when do we need to be in equanimous position? Ishta nishta upapattishu. In both likable and dislikable situations. So be equanimous in both likable and dislikable situations. Remember, we don't use love and hate. We say likable and dislikable. Hate is an extreme word. So when we say ishta, we have certain things that we like, and at all levels, body, mind and intellect. And Bhagavan says, be equanimous in all three levels, at the body level, at the mind level, as well as the intellect level. So what is likable and dislikable situations? Mostly the pair of opposites. For example, at the body level, Shita Ushna, you can say hot or cold. The weather is very hot or the weather is cold. Sometimes in hot weather we like to be in cold situation under the AC, and in cold places we would like to be under the heater or around the heater. So we always have a likable situation and a dislikable situation. If it's too hot and we'll have to be under the sun, we don't like it. That is a dislikable situation. And if it's too cold and we don't have a heater around, we are not happy as well. Shita Ushna, that is at the body level. At the mind level, we also have Sukham, Dukkham. Both come and go. We have joy, we have sorrow. So there is a likable situation. Whenever we have joy, we like it. Whenever there is sorrow, we dislike it. So at the body, mind level, we have joy and sorrow. And then at the intellect level, we have this manam and apamanam. Somebody who praises us, somebody who criticizes us or humiliates us. That is at the intellect level. So Bhagavan says, whatever be the situation, be equanimous. Somebody smiles at us, somebody is indifferent to us, we immediately frown, we immediately have an anger, we get angry. Do not have that. It's okay. If somebody smiles, smiles. If they don't smile, they are indifferent, it's okay. So do not have this feeling that, because do not have this feeling that, this is not likable and therefore I have to be happy. This is a dislikable situation and therefore I need to be sorrow. We have this feeling that if it is a dislikable situation, it is given that I have to be in sorrow. That is not true. Many people believe that. It is not needed, because first of all we have to understand, as humans, or rather our Shastra says, human birth is possible only if our papa and punya is almost equal in this prarabdha. It's only almost equal, you get a human birth. So which means papa is going to give us all these dislikable situations. Punya is always going to give us likable situations. So which means as a human, whoever we may be, the richest man in the world to the poorest fellow in this planet, will always have likable situations and dislikable situations. There is not a single person who is going to have only dislikable situations throughout their life, or there is not going to be a single person who is going to have only likable situations in their life. It is not possible. We cannot escape from this, both papa karma as well as punya karma. So punya gives us these ishta situations, papa gives us this anishta situations. And if someone says, I don't want it, sorry, it's not possible. You cannot escape. And all these relations will also come up for us to spend our karmas, for us to exhaust our karmas. These relationships have come. We have to understand that. So karmas, whatever punya or papa karma we have done, that decide the external situation that we get. So there is no point in actually getting affected by it. Getting affected by it. So there is, Bhagavan calls us that as situations which are inevitable. If they are inevitable, then you can't, you just accept it. But Ishvara cannot help. In fact, Bhagavan did not help Subhadra or even Arjuna. When he himself was born, when Bhagavan himself was born as Krishna or Rama, there were so many dislikable situations. Rama was asked to go to the forest. Krishna was actually born in a jail. And he had to fight against all the asuras. His own mama was cruel to him. So all this, even as Bhagavan, they have to go through all these difficulties. So whom are we? We have to understand that all these dislikable situations are part of the contract, the human contract that we have made. So we have to just accept it. And when we say accept it, Bhagavan says, accept it without resistance. Accept it without murmuring. So that's why he says, Nityam cha samachittatvam. Be equanimous. And what happens if I don't have this samachittatvam? We will see in the next class. Any questions? Comments? Sorry, is there any chat? Okay. There is nothing here. So we will see again in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahi Mahishaha. Gobrahmanebhyo Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Hari Om Shri Guru. Hari Om.